Welcome back to Considering the Source. I'm your host, Scott Rowar. Well, today what we're going to do is we're going to go back in time a little bit. Well, not exactly. We're actually going to have another interview with our friend Jeff Henson. Now, first thing I'll tell you, Jeff uses strong language, so if you have kids around, you probably don't want to listen to this around them unless you're just a horrible parent and let them listen to anything anybody says. Then by all means, go ahead and listen to it. But if you are offended by that type of language, be aware that Jeff does use strong language from time to time. And in this episode, we discuss language and cursing in particular. So just heads up, if that kind of language offends you, this might not be the podcast for you, because we address some of those words by name, and we just discuss that. Remember, Considering the Source is really all about listening to other people's perspectives and seeing if it can help us get to know them a little better. So don't just give up too easily, but I want you to dedicate and commit yourself to it, and maybe you'll find something in here that is worthwhile. I know that I did. In this episode, we catch up with Jeff. It's been a while since we've had a really good conversation. But we talked about his photography business, what's going on with that, what's it like to be a photographer. We discuss his hair. I don't know if you guys know this, but he cut his hair off, and he's going to talk a little bit about how much hair he cut off, why he did it, and things like that. So that's a cool portion. And then we get into what happened pretty recently with him is, Jeff shares his opinions, and sometimes it gets him into trouble, and holy cow, he was on Facebook and had a huge blow up with another Facebook user, and he's going to tell the story of what happened there and what potentially is still going on. So, and he also, ready for this? He also makes the very first threat on Considering the Source. It was pretty powerful. So that's the first portion of the show, and then the last half of it is Jeff really just sharing his opinions, and we have a really good conversation, I think, a nice dialogue about the Confederate flag and also gay marriage. So if you're looking to hear another person's opinion, this is the episode for you. So thanks for downloading this, and I hope you enjoy. This is my friend Jeff Henson. All right, welcome everybody. So we're here with our good buddy Jeff Henson, and do you want me to say your name?
Sure. Say it again. Now, I like saying it.
Now, this was actually a concern of mine. I thought, are you wanting? Because some of the things you might say, might rub somebody the wrong way.
Okay.
That may have a direct effect on your business, on the photography.
No.
So you don't care?
Yes and no. Well, no, I don't care. I care to a degree because it's hard to explain, because the only thing I really care about it would be somebody putting like negative review on Facebook or something like that. You know, that's my main concern, and hence that's what came into the name change, which we'll talk about later.
Oh.
They didn't, but it just, it's one of those things. But I don't really care about, if somebody wants to hear me and say something and they find something, but, I'm not going to hire him for pictures. Well, I don't give a shit. It's just, I with the photography thing, I look at it like I've already won. I've already succeeded. So it's already surpassed my expectations. It doesn't matter to me. I already have enough money. I have a regular job. Becky has a job. We're set. So it doesn't bother me if somebody doesn't want to buy a picture or get pictures taken or whatever, And I'm not even necessarily into doing a lot of side business, like pictures of, my more of my niche I would want it to be is more just selling prints rather than doing family portraits or anything like that.
Okay.
Which I'll do for friends and stuff like that. But, it's not like I want to sit there and go out like, I'm a photography studio. I do anything, whatever. I like to do different things. And ultimately I'd love to just sell prints.
Okay. So, since our last recording, let me rephrase that. Since the last recording that I released.
Hidden in the vault.
Yes.
Released
much
50
has
years
happened.
later. There
yes.
will be.
Now, for those of you who are like, what does that mean that he's released? Jeff and I were at my son's birthday party.
What Scott would call hell.
It was pretty painful.
My days of working at summer camps are really over. I mean,
You used to work at summer camp?
oh yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah, good memories there.
Sure.
But yeah, so during that, the sound quality was really, really poor. But there was some interesting conversation that went on between Jeff and I, and also some other parents that were there, because we were talking about topics of the day, and there were some rather interesting perspectives given. And that's the cool thing. Had the quality been better, I don't know if this is true. Had the quality been better, I would have released it. Truth be told, the quality could have been perfect, and I still ugh. Yeah. Because sometimes, like, this podcast is all about allowing people to share their opinion, whether or not I agree with it, and allowing you, the listener, to listen to it and make your own decisions. That being said, I don't think I want to have pedophiles on here sharing their perspectives. I don't, there's some perspectives.
Why you gotta hate?
Yeah, I know.
No hate.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
so with that being said, since the last,
I'm not really into pedophiles.
Thank you.
So yeah,
I appreciate that clarification.
Make that in case people can't see my face. So
right.
They can't. So yeah.
So since our last recorded episode that we released, there's been a number of changes and things, big events that have happened in your life. So I want to talk about some of those. The first, to me, most obvious is you went from looking like the bass player from in Cinderella, not the movie, but the band.
Yeah.
You look for like that guy now to you're like Kojak. He did have long blonde hair. Exactly right. I know my 80s hair metal.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at you now. I'm like, where is all your hair?
Holy shit! Where did it go? Oh my god!
I mean, I'm gonna take a picture of you before I leave.
Okay, that's fine.
But where is it? In fact, I'm gonna take it right now. So when you're watching this later, okay, so we'll post this on the site. Where'd your hair go, Jeff?
It's currently it's in an envelope, waiting to be sent to Wigs for Kids.
Okay.
Originally, I was going to give it to Locks for Love, which is another organization like that where they make wigs and everything.
Yeah.
But then after looking into more of the the shady dealings, I guess you would say, of Locks for Love, I decided to find a more suitable one, and Wigs for Kids is much better.
Okay. I don't care then about Wigs for Kids.
Okay.
I care about this shady thing that you mentioned. What's going on there?
Locks for Love only uses 20% or so of their hair donations for whatever reason.
Where does the other go?
I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know if that means that they have to be. It has to be 10 inches long at least. It has to be rubber banded into a ponytail. There's all these stipulations, and maybe people don't send it in correctly or something like that. Like they can't use swept up hair from the floor and stuff like that. So it's kind of maybe it has something to do with that, but also they charge kids for the wigs.
Really?
Yes, and where Wigs for Kids and a couple other organizations don't. So if you look up Locks for Love, it's not all love, I guess. It's Locks for money. So Wigs for Kids is all 100% donated and everything. So I'm going with them.
Why haven't you sent it in yet?
Oh, because I had the Locks for Love thing was sitting there, and then I started looking into this, and I wanted to find the best suitable,
charity organization, right?
Exactly,
to receive these golden locks.
Yes, exactly. I know. Everybody always said that they wanted to have my hair. So
did people really always say that?
Yeah.
Who are these people?
Just a bunch of weirdos.
Okay.
John Wayne Gacy, Ed Gein, that type. So I was just waiting. I just got to send it in. I mean, it's sitting right there. So
okay.
I just gotta send it in, so.
How many inches of hair was this?
13. That's what cut off at the ponytail. And then, I still had 2 or 3 or so, whatever it was.
How long had that taken to grow that out?
Well, I had long hair since, longer hair since about 6th grade or so. And then when I was like 27, I think it was, I shaved my head. I don't know why. I just did. And it was long. It was longer than that. It was like our wedding pictures, it was like halfway down my stomach. It was really long. So
at 27, you'd shaved it.
Yeah.
Did you cut it when your daughter was born? I thought I saw a picture, but it wasn't shaved then.
No, it wasn't shaved then. That's when I was growing it back. So,
okay, so at 27, you'd shaved it.
Yeah, and then I shaved it again right around in there, but then I started growing it back. So my daughter was born when I was 29, so, it was, few inches long or so. You know, like a normal, regular haircut or whatever. And then, so yeah, I've been growing it ever since then. You know, I cut it.
How many years is that? Because I don't even know.
Like 10, 11.
10?
Something like that.
Would you even get the ends
Yeah,
trimmed?
I'd get the ends trimmed and stuff. And so, you know, yeah. I mean, otherwise it looks like shit.
Yeah, and you got highlights and stuff like that, frosted and...
No.
That's interesting.
I just got perms and, you know, 80s wave things, yeah.
No cornrows?
No.
I would have loved to see that.
That would have been cool. That would have been really awesome.
So, then what led you to say, I'm going to go ahead and do this? I'm going to cut it and send it in. What led to that decision?
God, I would love to sit here and tell you that it's some... I'm just this
you had
awesome
lice. You had
guy.
lice, didn't
yeah,
you?
I had lice. Yes, I'm some awesome guy, and I'm just going to. I did it for the kids and all this stuff. Truth be told, I'm thinning out on the front, just you know, that little bit, and I always swore that as soon as I started thinning out, I was like, I'm just going to shave it, because I think I looked fine with a shaved head, you know, before, so I was fine with it, and so. Yeah, you know, you just start noticing it, and you know, you notice it a lot more than anybody else does, you know, when you're looking in the mirror and all that and everything. But I didn't want to have a skullet, you know, I didn't want to be one of these guys who just had the long hair in the back and bald on top, and or looked all scraggly, or looked like Herschel from, you know, Walking Dead or something, which he looks cool.
Yes.
Some people can pull it off. And
that is Scott Wilson.
Scott Wilson. Oh, sorry, Scott's a good friend.
He's
Scott's
he and I have met.
Yeah.
Yeah, we shared.
I'd like to get him on a podcast, huh?
That would be my dream.
That would be awesome. So, you know, I didn't want to be one of those guys who didn't know when to hang it up. So as soon as it started happening, I said, "Fuck it, I'll hang it up."
Oh, good.
And you know, just go to the other extreme, you know. And this is awesome, man. Oh my God, anybody out there with short hair, you're oh God, you have no idea how great you have it.
How much time you're saving?
Tons of time. Tons of, you know, you never have to worry about, oh my God, how's my hair look in that picture? It looks like shit, or it looks like I'm
Well, you clearly never thought about that.
Clearly.
Anyway, but a person, you're saying a person wouldn't have to.
Right, exactly. Other, you know, mortals wouldn't have to. But, yeah, so, you know.
Now, did you lose your strength when you
I did not. I actually gained strength.
Ooh.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? I actually gained strength.
Wow, you're opposite.
Yep.
Samson.
Opposite of Samson.
That's amazing. All right, well, I think it looks great. There are some guys who go bald, not that you need my approval, but there are some guys who go bald and like, oh, that's unfortunate. But no, you wear it well, and I think it's very honorable to do that. I mean, I understand your reasons were totally vain.
I mean, I could have thrown it away and not done anything. Sure, with it, you know. So
sure. Now be sure and send it in.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm doing it this weekend. Actually, as a matter of fact, I told Becky to give me another envelope because we had it all filled out for Locks for Love. Yeah, and you know,
I want to see some child walking around.
Yeah, and I'm going to get the thing's cool. Wigs for Kids. I get a little card that says that I sent, you know, I donated my hair and everything. So I'm just going to whip that out like crazy.
Will they send you like a picture monthly of like the child?
That would be awesome. I don't think that they do.
This is your sponsoring.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, too,
hopefully it's a little black kid.
That would be with long blonde hair.
All the
cornrows. That's so racist, man.
Mine wasn't.
Oh my
when
God.
You go cornrows,
I know you can't see this. Nobody can see this right now, but Scott is actually wearing a shirt made out of the Confederate flag.
It's a bikini top.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, it was the Confederate flag. So.
All right. So with that being said, so this morning I'm driving over and I don't text while I drive, but I will update my Facebook page. So anyway, because texting, that's being irresponsible.
Oh,
so who would do that? So I'm updating my Facebook page and I'm going through, and I saw on your page this picture that you just posted with the bee flying away from like this plant of some sort.
Okay, yeah,
and it looks incredible.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, and so that leads me to my second thing. So since we last talked, a lot has happened. You had started up a photography company, business / whatever, where all of a sudden you're posting all these pictures, and I understand that you've gone through a name change. You've already sold some stuff. Let's talk about that a little bit. So again, last time we talked, you had long hair, and you know.
Sure, I was a completely different person.
You really were.
Yeah, you really were. It was like Mickey and Mallory in Natural Born Killers.
Oh yes,
you know.
Yes.
Now I'm like the serial killer.
All right. So So let's talk first about like the company.
Okay. Well, there's no real company, I guess. It's a self-proprietor, blah, 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 whatever. Just, it was just a thing. I started a website and, which was totally out of my comfort zone. I'm just not technological. I'm not, really anything like that. But, so I was trying to enlist the help of some friends to do this website and everything. And so, they were real responsive. They said it'd help me and everything. And then I stumbled on this, a site. It was like Site Welder, it's called. And it's basically just for photographers and to sell your, items and display your work. And so I signed up for that. I started messing around with that. Within 2 hours, I had a functioning site where people could like buy from me through PayPal.
Really?
So yeah, it was awesome. So it was like a free demo thing. So anyway, so I did that, and then my buddy 6 months ago or so, he bought me the name, a domain name. He owns his own business, and he's pretty business savvy, as far as all that goes, and he buys a lot of domain names. So, and he talked to me about what I want to do with the business and what I want to become and all this and everything. Basically, you got to brand yourself, you know, and so technically, usually in life, I'm just branded as an asshole.
That's true.
So,
yes.
So going into business, I need to brand myself as something else. So we started talking, bouncing ideas off, and he came up with iconic photographer.
Iconic photographer.
Iconic photographer. Because I said I don't want to specialize in any specific thing, because I like to branch out and do a lot of different things, And so, it was more, it's a general term. I really loved it. I fell in love with the name, and so iconicphotography was taken.com was taken, so we came up with iconicphotographer.com, which is amazing that it was open. It just absolutely floored me, because I started looking at other names, and almost every other name for photographer was taken. I didn't look it up. Probably douche photographer was probably taken.
Yeah.
All these different names were taken, and the fact that we got that name was just incredible. So long story short is, shameless plug, iconicphotographer.com. That's the website. And, all my work is up there. You can buy prints, all that stuff. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had the site up for how long then?
Well, like a week or so, something like that. Week, 2 weeks.
Okay.
Something like that.
When did you first fall in love with photography?
That's a great question. I always had some sort of an affinity for it. I always liked it, and I was always doing kind of weird shots, and when just different angles and goofy things, just messing around, anything at all. And then my wife would always get mad at me because, that was back in the day when you had to actually pay for the, to develop it and everything.
Right.
It would get really expensive. All these stupid ass shots of, the lights and shit. I don't know, whatever. So, long story short is, I don't know. I mean, I like taking pictures, but nothing, crazy. And then, once you get a little bit older, you got a little bit more of the discretionary income, all that stuff and everything. So my wife and I went together, and we said, you know what? That would be great. We should buy a really nice camera, and just to have a really nice camera. We like going on vacations. We like, going to hiking a lot and, taking pictures like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we bought the bullet.
You bought the bullet?
I bought the bullet, bit the
How much
bullet,
was
bite
that?
the bullet. I don't know, something like that.
Okay.
I don't know. It wasn't as expensive as you would think.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So I bought the farm, bite the bullet. I don't
Okay.
know. And so we bought this camera, and wasn't cheap.
Okay.
But
Over $1,000?
right around there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like 1,100, I think. Something
Wow.
like that. Yeah, total. That was with the lens and the case and whatever. And it's still just like a middle of the road kind of professional camera, I guess
Okay.
you would call it. It's
What is it?
It's a Canon 60D.
Canon 60D.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's how Canon does all their they just came out with one. It's a 5D.
Okay.
And that's like 50 megapixel. Mine now is like something like 20 or 18. I don't know, something like that.
Okay.
So it's crazy. You know, and that's like, I don't know, $4,500 or something like that.
Oh.
So yeah, I'd love to get that. But anyway, so yeah, it can get really expensive and pricey and everything. But, really, 90% of it's your eye, you know, just having the right angle, all that stuff. Anyway, so that's what we did. We bought this camera, and you know, we were going on vacation. We were going to buy it for Christmas, you know, as like a joint gift, you know, because after a while, you know, what can you get each other, you know, sometimes. And so we did that. We said we were going to do that. We were going on vacation in October, and in September we said, well, why don't we just buy it now? So we were for vacation.
Have a vacation, right?
So. And then it was I just kind of started messing around with it, seeing what it could do and everything. And then I started looking on YouTube as far as, you know, how to do different things. And, you know, I knew we were going to a place that had waterfalls.
Yeah.
And so I watched a 9-minute video on how to do waterfalls on YouTube, and I took it there, and it was awesome. It came out mind blowing.
Now, this is a thought that comes to my mind.
Yeah.
When I think back to elementary and high school, I think about the photographers who would come in to take our class pictures. And the last word that would come to mind would be artist. Okay? They're simply somebody doing the job.
Absolutely.
Whereas when I'm hearing you, and I've seen your pictures, it does more resemble art. And what I would ask you is, do you see the art portion of it? Do you feel that way? Do you feel artistic? Yeah,
I do. No, there's a huge, it's just like there's a difference between us. I'm not trying to degrade anybody. I'm just saying that there's a difference between, say, a soap opera actor and a Johnny Depp.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the same thing. Everybody has their place, and that's fine. But, you know, these guys who take the pictures at Woodward or whatever, and just does that, or people work at JCPenney. Yep. That's all well and good, but, you know, everything's all set up. Any schlub could come in there and just do that.
Push the button.
Push the button.
Put them in the spot, push the button.
Right. But whereas if if somebody gave me and you the exact same camera and went out to, say, shoot that waterfall, we would come back with 100% different pictures. I mean, it would just look completely different. Even if no matter what, I mean, if you took the 2 top guys in the world, you'd come back with 2 different pictures. It's a matter of how long exposure and aperture and where you set up. That's the main thing, you know, an angle, all kinds of what software you use to develop the picture. You know, what colors you bring up, what colors you take down, you know, black and white, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I mean, that's part of the thing is, you know, that's why part of the reason I like it so much. I can go whenever I want, just do it. I'm on my own. I'm free to, nobody's telling me what to do. No, you know, I'm not working for anybody, and I can just take a picture of whatever I want, however I want, wherever I want. And, you know, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. I'm doing it for me, you know?
Right. So with that being said, like, what are some of your favorite pictures that you've taken so far? That you can, if you can describe, and then maybe if you can show me, I'll go ahead and I can put those on the site as well.
Yeah, I can. You mean legal pictures?
Yes.
Oh,
please.
Oh, geez.
There's one that you took. It was a very, very cool picture of a tree.
Uh-huh.
And the tree looks totally entwined,
right.
And it looks crazy, and the colors are also really very vivid. Yeah. Where was that taken?
That was at Lakeview Cemetery.
Is that up towards Cleveland?
Yeah, it's right by Severance Hall and Case Western on Euclid, I believe it is. Mayfield.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Euclid. Yeah. It's like a mile down from Case Western.
Okay.
And I that's why I always told Becky, I could spend a week there just shooting. It's awesome. It's the most awesome place for photographer, I'm telling you.
And why?
Because it's something crazy, like 200 acres or something like that. It's mammoth, and it's all old, these old, super old statues, you know, from like 1800s and all this stuff. All these, when they used to actually do gravestones, I mean, like
right.
grave statues, and they're enormous. I mean, like Elliot Ness is buried there, Rockefeller, Madison, the one president, Garfield Monument's there. That's like a building. It's ginormous, you know, but, But there's just so much history, and it enamors me. I mean, I could just walk that forever. And, so I'm driving around, and it was really cool clouds. So much of it is the sky, photography. Really cool clouds. I'm like, I told my wife, I go, I'm going cemetery. I'm like, we had no plans. I'm like, I'm going. It looks awesome. I'm going there. It starts pouring. Once you get into Cleveland, we're like a half hour away or whatever. Once you started getting 71, it was just pouring. It was dark clouds. It looked like hell. It just sucked. And I'm like, well, I'm already here. I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to go,
Yeah.
So I go and I'm driving around, and then so it was pouring, and then it cleared. And, excuse me. And then, so it cleared, and the sun came out. And the way it shined off of all the water that was on those trees and everything, I saw that tree, and I'm like, holy crap, that is friggin' awesome looking tree. And that's all about the angles. Like, I took tons of pictures of it, just back, and it just looks like a regular tree. I mean, it looks like a neat tree, but it doesn't look like it does in a picture, and it's all about that angle, and the limb is coming up into the corner and everything. And the way that the light was shining on that with all the dew that was already on the leaves and everything, it came out unbelievable.
How long did that picture take? From setup, exposure time, processing it with the software? How long do you think that end product took?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, when I go on a shoot like that, I'll take hundreds of pictures.
Right, but did you do anything special with that shot?
No. I mean, I set it up, the angle I set up, it took me a little while to set up exactly, to really try to capture all the twists and turns in the tree.
Yeah.
So, I mean, on that actual tree, I spent probably a half hour, like, going around doing, trying to find the right angle, the whole bit.
Did you use a tripod? Did you?
Oh, yeah. You have to. Oh, my God. When I started this, I knew nobody in photography. No one. And then, so I knew nobody in photography, and so it was, the only thing I had to learn from was YouTube.
Okay.
That's it. So it took a lot of trial and error. I was going around, I'm taking all these pictures of this cool stuff, and I'm like, there's this one, it breaks my heart. It just sucks so bad, because this is one of my favorite pictures. It's one of everybody's favorite pictures. I had multiple people ask me for prints of this. It was a bridge in Strongsville, and it's at the Metro Parks. And it was like at the first snow of the season last year. And the way that it just, the water was still flowing, but the snow was just kind of, just on there, just a couple inches.
Yeah.
And it just outlined everything. And I made it black and white, and it just looked killer. And then it looks killer on the screen. But when you print it big, it doesn't look as killer. It looks okay. Because I wasn't on the tripod. So any little shake like that. If you could take pictures all day long, and they'll look great 4x6 or 5x7 or on a computer screen.
Yeah.
But if you want to blow it up big, and you want to do prints, and you want to make it look nice, and it has to be on a tripod. Has to be.
Wow.
Unless if you're doing like a picture like from me to you, like a portrait or something, that's fine.
Yeah.
If you're real close. But if you're doing landscape, oh my God, there's without a doubt. So I printed it multiple times. I was trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing wrong, and then, I mean, cause I didn't know, I'm going into this whole thing blind, and then, and that's what it was. And, I'm watching these things on YouTube or little tutorial, little videos, and, they said that, if you're having trouble with the blurriness, in your pictures and just not looking exact, that's what it is. And sure enough, that was it exactly.
So what is your personal favorite? What picture you're probably the most proud of?
Oof. Oh, man. Possibly that tree at the cemetery.
Okay.
Yeah. The waterfalls are always cool. There's the one waterfall that
still in the Hocking Hills, or the one?
Yeah, the Hocking Hills one. The way that was like, a month after I had the camera, and I just figured that out. And I just, and again, that's part of the artistic thing too, is just something, I know it sounds stupid, I know it sounds silly, but but when you're, I had the camera there on the waterfall, and more than 9 times out of 10, you tell somebody to take a picture of that waterfall, they're going to take it straight on, right in the middle. Bam.
Yeah.
You take that picture. This is moved off to the side. So the waterfall is on the right third of the picture, and then the rest is, the
rock. Yeah.
So then everybody knows that. I mean, there's a rule of thirds in photography. You want to put, you chart in the whole, you take a photograph and you make it into thirds, like a graph of 9. And at the intersections, right there, those 4, in theory, that's where you should have something for the eye to look at. That makes it look more artistic. So if you were to, if you start looking at that, and you'll notice, like if I took a picture of you straight on.
Yeah.
Or then if I took a picture of you like this, like just slightly off to the side, like that, and just say, as silly as it sounds, say you just look off into the direction or something.
Yeah.
Totally different picture.
Right.
100% different picture. And they say when people have, they're looking off, that means that that's all the artsy fartsy stuff. But they say, that means that person is looking for new horizons and looking in new directions. And, and that's why you see a lot of the, like band photos, they'll be looking off somewhere else or something like that. It kind of gives that, I'm a badass look,
right.
Or cool or whatever. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you're Ed Sheeran.
Sure.
And then you're just like a red-headed hobbit,
right.
Basically.
He
he can look off all he wants. He's dreaming of the Shire, but it's not going to happen.
God, I wish I knew who that was.
Just Google Ed Sheeran later, and you'll see redheaded.
I try not to,
And the craziest thing...
I know Justin Bieber is.
Yeah, no. Ed Sheeran, and he dated... You're going to see him later, okay?
Okay.
And he dated Taylor Swift.
Okay, first off, Taylor Swift doesn't do much for me.
That's fine. Okay. That's fine. But I want you to look at the picture of those two.
Yeah, I know. But you know what? The only guy, John Mayer. That son of a bitch has dated every hot chick you can think of.
Chicks dig guitar
I heard
players,
that he has a humongous schlong. That's what the rumor is. I don't know. I'll never find out, but I don't know. Just saying.
Yeah.
Nonetheless.
So what's your favorite location to shoot? You've shot at Hocking Hills. You've shot at, what was the cemetery? It's Lakeview?
Lakeview.
Okay, you've shot at Lakeview. Yeah. And I've seen a number of shots at like Mapleside Farms.
Right. Well, I live a mile from Mapleside, so I mean it's kind of hard not to. I mean it's awesome.
Where are your other favorites, and where do you plan to shoot?
I like North Park a lot. It's in Brunswick.
That's true.
That one's awesome. Got a nice bridge, water. Anywhere, I don't know. We're going to Hocking Hills in the fall again, and I really hope to get some awesome night shots. That's my thing. I love the night shots. There's this little gnat in here that's driving me crazy. And then so those are maybe one of my favorites. Those are very hard to do because if you just point up at the sky, it's fine. But to actually, you got to focus that camera and you got to get it focused on something. And it's very hard to get it focused when it's night. It's dark, pitch black.
Yeah.
So you can point up at the sky. Even just pointing up at the sky is awesome. Because you set the long exposure for 30 seconds, and it sees all kinds of stuff that you don't see. So all those, you ever see those light night shots? With all the stars. Well, those are real, but it's an exposure where my camera only goes for 30 seconds. Some cameras go for minutes, and you can set it for minutes, and it'll sit there and just soak in all of that light, and so it sees all kinds of stuff that you can't see with the human eye.
When are you going to buy your next camera?
Oh God, that's a good question.
You've already started looking.
Oh yeah. I've definitely already started looking, but
you started pricing.
Sure, yeah.
You started begging.
No. I
You're doing extra chores around the house.
Right, exactly. Cutting the grass more. Ideally, I would love to just save it all up with my money that I make from photography. Now it's kind of like the ball is rolling, so hopefully that would be nice. But I mean, truth is, I mean, I could go out and buy it right now if I wanted to, but I'm still pushing the limits of what I have.
Yes.
So it's not that important to me, not right now, but I will. And, I don't know. I don't know.
How many photos or prints have you sold thus far, roughly?
So 5.
Yeah.
That's it. Nothing off the website.
Yeah.
Yet.
Well, people are stealing your stuff all the time.
Exactly.
It's on wallpapers, on computers.
That would be nice.
I
I'd be honored. That would be fantastic. But my site's set up so you can't download anything.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is.
I'll just take a screenshot.
But my Facebook page isn't, so you can take any. But I always put all those at very low resolution, so you can't blow those up very big.
Oh, okay.
See that?
See, yeah, you're thinking.
Yeah.
Did YouTube tell you to do that as well?
No, I just knew that.
Okay.
Yeah, because I've stolen other people's stuff from wallpapers and stuff like that. You know,
Okay.
so I just knew.
So, I've been friends with you for a while on Facebook.
Yeah.
And the thing I really like about you, Jeff, and we're going to talk about some current topics that are in the media right now. We're going to talk about those. And what I know, even before we get there, is that you have an opinion
Sure.
about it.
Yeah, right.
And you don't have an opinion just to have an opinion.
Right.
Okay?
Sure.
And it at least appears to me that you've, 1, thought about it. 2, you've probably done some research to back up your position. You didn't just come to your conclusion because, okay. And so that's the first thing I know about you, and that's what I like about you. I don't necessarily agree with everything you say,
Sure.
and that's perfectly fine.
I don't expect you to agree with that. My wife doesn't agree with everything I
Awesome.
say, so.
But when I watch you on Facebook, and we talked about this even in our earlier podcast, people friend you and then unfriend you like the sun goes up, the sun goes
Sure.
down. All right?
Right.
So recently you changed the name of your site. It was your full name. Now it's just JJ Henson.
Right.
What happened? What's the reason there?
Well, I got into an argument, if you can believe that, about with one of my buddies, his buddies. Okay.
A friend of a friend.
Friend of a friend on the Facebook thing about motorcycles. You know, he's one of these guys who drives the crotch rockets and everything. Well, he got in an accident.
He did.
Yeah, he did. And supposedly he said it wasn't his fault, but who knows? But anyway, long story short is one of those things that drives me up a friggin' wall is these things about watch out for motorcycles, look out for motorcycles and all this. Well, look out for me too. You know, so many of these motorcycles I see, they're swerving in and out of traffic. They're going 100 miles an hour. They're doing wheelies. They're doing all this shit. Well, you know what? Don't drive like an asshole and everything will be fine. You know, there's 2 types of
No, that's not entirely true.
No, it's not entirely true.
Okay.
Again, I speak in generalities. There's always exceptions to rules, and you can be the safest driver in the world and you still get killed.
Yes.
Absolutely. With anything, motorcycle, car, whatever. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to be, don't perpetuate the situation
Yes.
by driving like a jerk.
Yes.
And so, long story short is he has all these crotch rocket friends, and we kind of got into going back and forth about safety and all this stuff. Meanwhile, these guys have pictures of themselves, on the highway with backed up traffic, like doing these wheelies. He's one of the Starboy douche nozzles,
Okay.
So anyway, long story short is, this asshole, started going through my pictures. Cause a lot of my stuff was public because, I don't know, I don't really care, and he started making fun of my wife. And he started saying, all this shit. He's just trying to get under my skin. You know what I mean? I know, cause it was getting pretty, intense and everything. But I'll never pick on anybody's anything. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Wife, kid, whatever. That's all off. I'm arguing with you and that's it.
Yes.
And, so we, going back and forth and he started doing that. So then I started going through his pictures and, so I found some little weird things, there. I'm sitting there making fun of that,
What weird things?
Well, the one was, he was just different things like this. Like, he's, it's one of these things. These dudes are like 20 years old, 22 years old, or 25, whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's all about, motorcycles and chicks.
Okay.
That's all. And it starts into this whole thing of, you can't get lay, you can't get chicks, and all this stuff. And, I get more pussy than you do and all this stuff. I'm like, oh my God, really? It's like,
he's telling you that?
Yeah. It's like all this like third grade stuff. Or
well, you're married, of course.
Exactly. Right. I don't, whatever. Anyway, so, it gets into this whole thing. And then, then he starts posting pictures of my wife and all this stuff, and then he has this picture of himself on. First off, he's one of these gym meatheads, he's working out and he's posting these pictures of himself with his muscles and all this stuff, and so I'm making fun of that, and then the only other picture he had on there was him, and I would never go this route, I really wouldn't unless you really pissed me off, and he really pissed me off. So he's like, the only other picture of him on there with anybody was with some little 3-year-old girl. And I go, and this is fucking weird. Like, looking on your site, you say you get all this pussy, but the only picture you have on there is with you with this underage little girl. That's my niece, you motherfucker, blah, 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 all this stuff. I'm like, hey, whatever. This is the thing. My mom always used to say this about me, and she never understood it. Nobody understands it, but that was always the thing. Like, if you call me an asshole, okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to call you an asshole +1.
Yes.
So I'm always going to take the next step, and I'm always going to go more to the extreme than what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I don't know, I guess it's human nature. You want to.
But you're just not the starter.
Exactly.
You reciprocate.
Right. So, exactly. I never start out calling anybody names, no nothing. Inevitably everybody starts calling you names and you're an idiot, you're an asshole, whatever, all this stuff. So, so long story short, that was it. And, so then I'm like, you know what, I can't do this. I can't, I go, because this is the thing, and he'll never listen to this, so fuck you. First off, dude, I want to let you know, if you are listening, I still have your street address. I know exactly where you live. And I found it in 2 seconds on the internet. It's amazing what you can find. And my wife used to do background checks, so I can do a background check on anybody, and I know how to and everything. So
this is like my first official threat.
Don't fuck with the fucker. Okay, that's all I'm saying. So I still know where he lives. Maybe I'll use that. Maybe I won't. Maybe I already have. Who knows?
Right.
But so then I'm like, well, it's one of those things. Well, if I can find out where he lives,
yeah.
Not that he's that bright, but he could find out where I live, and then he can find out where I live. Then he can find out, all it takes is for him to see my photography page, and put a bad review on there, and then it's just, which is whatever. I mean, I have like 15 5-star reviews or whatever, but it's still, it brings it down, and I'll be honest with you. I mean, like the one time. I want to phrase this so that it's not very incriminating, but a friend of mine has a very known business around.
Okay.
For families.
Mm-hmm.
And some lady got on her high horse about her kid with autism, okay. About how that place discriminates against people with autism because they want to do some sort of field trip there and then they couldn't book it or something. There was some sort of mix-up. This guy is the nicest guy in the world. Mm-hmm. It's one of these things where he is the most inclusive person, the whole thing. And so they went on and on about how, and really tried to bring this company down, posting all this stuff on their page, giving a bad review, this and that. All this stuff, and all these people are ganging up on it, and not knowing the full story. Anybody can make anything sound,
sure,
legit. Exactly. So, all it was a miscommunication, about times or when they could come and all of this stuff. So, the thing was this lady used her autism, some sort of autism charity awareness page or whatever it was, to bash this.
Okay.
So I gave her a bad review on her page because she used that page. If it was just her, that'd be fine. But if she used that page, so the thing was, it's one of those things. You're using a charity
For your personal...
For your personal bashing
vendetta.
of yeah. And, that really just rubbed me the wrong way. Like, I would never do that on my photography page to sit there and bash somebody, like, I don't give a shit. Use your personal page. That's whatever. That's between you and whoever. That's fine. But when you start using that page for that, no, that's not cool. That brings her down. Like it was, at the time, nobody had left any reviews, so she had like a 1-star rating. So then I went back, like a week. This is the thing. Then she sent me an email saying she thought that was ridiculous and blah, blah, blah. First off, she asked why I put that review up there on the page. She wrote a message on the page, like, why did you have this problem? And I said, and her whole thing was everything was hearsay. It wasn't even her thing. It was like a friend of a friend's who this whole problem happened to with this company. So I told her, well, a friend of a friend told me that this was a poor company and they had bad dealings with it. So I left this review.
Yeah.
And so that didn't go over well. But then she emailed me and said, I think this is ridiculous because I've already talked with your friend and everything is fine. And he's even agreed to make a donation to our cause because in light of all of this and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, you're just fucking extorting him. That's all you're doing is you were trying to get money out of him for your cause. And he's such a nice guy. He just said, okay, fine. And nice guy or not, you're going to do that just to, smooth over for your business.
Sure.
So everything just about that rubbed me the wrong way. So then, long story short, then I started thinking, well, anybody could do that to my page then. So I needed to, and I didn't think about this before I did Jeff Henson photography page. Otherwise I probably would have done a different name. But once you have that name, you can't change it on a business page.
Okay.
Or it's crazy hard or something, I've never known of anybody you gotta start over. So I can't do that.
How many followers do you have right now?
540.
Yeah,
I think.
you can't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it was hard to get, man. Let me tell you, it's not easy. People can like a picture all day long, but to get them to go to that page and click like that you like that page, it's hard. It's hard.
I'm wondering how many, considering the source. I think I'm just set up as a radio station. I'm not set up as a business. I'm wondering how many I have. If I continue to have you on here, it's going to probably go in the opposite direction.
Probably.
So,
it probably will, but
something to consider.
Consider the source.
All right. So now a question I have is, this person was a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
Your friend, who's friends with him, is he or she still friends with this person?
As far as I know, yeah. I ended up having to block that guy.
The friend?
The friend of a friend. I blocked him so that he can't even see that I exist on Facebook.
What about your other friend?
Yeah,
has this person spoken to you about this whole situation?
No, which I thought was a little weird. Like as soon as if that happened on my page, like if you and another friend started getting into it on my page, and you started posting pictures of his, I would have shut that down right then. I said, no, this is bullshit. This is getting out of control.
Right.
No, you're an asshole. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But he just let it perpetuate, which I thought was a little weird. It's one of these things I don't know. I guess some people just like to...
Like the drama?
No, not the drama. They just like to have a lot of friends. And some people just... some people care more about quantity than quality.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So is that why your name changed on there?
Yeah, my name changed because then, and everything is private now. And because I wanted to try to separate myself from Jeff Henson Photography and JJ Henson.
Okay.
So then people are less likely to make that connection. If I'm arguing with somebody and then they see, that thing, oh, that's him. I'm gonna, and not that I don't know. I might even change it back. Who knows? I don't know. It's one of those things that I don't know if it makes that big of a deal. Somebody's going to find out. They're going to find out, so whatever. But I don't know. We'll see.
Hold on one second here.
Sure.
I have a TT Universe.
Okay.
And you may have seen it on my Facebook this morning. one of my favorite tennis tournaments of the year is Wimbledon.
Yeah.
It happens once a year.
Mm-hmm.
Friends, Seinfeld, they come on all the time. Wimbledon happens one time a year.
You know why? Because nobody gives a shit about
No, they
tennis.
do. People really care.
It's tennis.
And
dude.
understand something. It's 2 weeks of this tournament. It comes down to this morning at 8 a.m. is the
From
finals.
Wimbledon to Wobbleton is 15 miles.
Wimbledon.
Remember that?
No. ATT Universe went out last night around 11. That's when I realized it was out. My Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi, the cable, everything's out. So there's no watching Wimbledon. I can't even record Wimbledon, the men's final this morning. And it's going to be, not for you, but it's going to be historic. Roger Federer, he's like 40 years old,
Okay.
which in tennis is unheard of.
Okay.
40 is an exaggeration, I know. And he's going to be playing Djokovic for the championship. I can't watch or record
my
it today
God.
because
Oh
ATT Universe.
God.
So I'm going to give them a bad review today and see what.
Go for it.
Yeah. So I plan to do that. All right. So now is the moment
You
you've
gotta
all
edit
been
that
waiting
out.
for.
You gotta edit that out.
It will be edited
Right,
out.
okay.
Believe you me. Now the moment we've all been waiting for
Yeah.
is when we're going to go ahead and we call this Opinions with Jeff Henson.
Oh, I like that.
So currently, like a week or so ago,
Mm-hmm.
in the media was like this really powerful, emotional week in which a couple things happened. One is that gay marriage was legalized, and also just I think yesterday or the day before, South Carolina agreed to remove the Confederate flag.
Mm-hmm.
And so Facebook, during that time was really blowing up with everybody cheering or booing about gay marriage.
It looked like Skittles factory was having a.
There were a
fight with
lot
the
of rainbow flags. The White House had the rainbow colors across the White
Sure.
House, and then now, as I said, the Confederate flag it's been approved to come down. So let's take both those issues. I'd love to hear your perspective. So suddenly the Supreme Court says, all right, gay marriage is now legal everywhere in the United States. Your thoughts?
Okay, well, first off, let me backtrack one split second here and say it's extremely interesting to me that no offense to you personally, but you just said that there were a couple big things that happened in the news, and it's funny that we're so I not necessarily using the word brainwashed, but led astray as to the real issues here, because the real issue is that some nutcase came in and killed 9 people because of the color of their skin. But but everybody says the big story is that the Confederate flag was taken down. Well, to me, a bigger story is that the reason why the Confederate flag was taken down was because of all this hubbub about this asshole going in there and killing people. And we don't know the names of these people. We don't know, none of this. We know the name of the killer, and we know that we took down the Confederate flag in hopes that supposedly we're going to eradicate racism. I'm not quite sure why, but I'm sorry, but I digress. You want to talk about the gay marriage thing first?
No, we can talk about this first. This is perfectly fine. And I guess what I'd say is, you would acknowledge, I presume, that this isn't the first time that there has been a movement to bring the flag down.
No, there's been movements. Exactly.
There have been numerous calls. There have been numerous calls for South Carolina to take that flag from the State House.
I never remember that.
Okay.
I cannot tell you that I remember that at all.
Okay.
Do I think some people look at it as a symbol of racism? Sure. Some people do. Some people look at, back in the day, people used to look at comic books as killing the minds of children. So, I mean, it's all a matter of what you make of it.
Okay.
So, as far as that goes, I mean, if you want to take down the flag from the state capitol, well, that's a government thing, whatever, that's fine. That's not fine, but whatever you want to do. I mean, that's way above my head, but,
okay, well, see, here is a thought, and maybe this is a perspective, and you can tell me what you think of this perspective. there are people who are offended. They're emotionally troubled when they see the Confederate flag. Some people aren't.
Okay.
Perfectly fine.
Okay.
But there are people who are, and I think that they present relatively good arguments for why it offends them. And so this state is going to now agree and go ahead and remove that and then move it into like this historical museum.
Okay.
On the other end, this is someone's perspective. The White House, for all intents and purposes, they say, basically put a gay flag on the White House, and they would say, or they said, there are also people who are very offended by that. What do you think of that analogy? What do you think of that comparison?
I think people need to stop being offended by everything. They're fucking flags. Who cares? But in the same respect, you know, people are offended by a lot of things. You know, Jews could be offended by the German flag. So should we just
the Nazi flag, yes. But I don't know why a Jew would be offended by just the flag of Germany.
Well, Nazis were German.
Yes, but not every
No.
German was a
And not
Nazi.
every person in the South is racist.
True. But
so it's the same thing. It's a flag. You know, it's the same thing as, you know, people like with the, you know, the Christian baker, you know, they couldn't bake the cake for the gay couple and everything. And they said, all the liberals say, well, they should just bake the flag or just bake the cake. You know, just bake the cake. Just do it. Who cares? Well, and then when you put it in their perspective and you go, well, should a black person be forced to bake a Confederate flag cake? Or should a Jew be forced to bake a Nazi cake?
Yeah.
Oh, well, no, absolutely not. That's terrible. That offends them. Well, okay. People are offended by different things. And I don't understand this whole thing of, you know, I'm a photographer. Now, am I going to be forced to take pictures that I don't want to take? What if I said, I'm going to just hire, I want to, hire whatever. I mean, say, people want to hire me to do something that I didn't want to do, that I thought was, morally wrong. You know, it may not be against the law, but if I thought it was morally wrong, you know, should I have the right to say no? And some people liberals will say, well, no, you have to do that.
Well, let me ask you a question right now. I have an idea what your answer is going to be. If a gay couple, and I know that you don't do wedding photography.
Right.
You might.
I did, actually.
You did, okay.
A couple weeks ago, yeah.
All right. If a gay couple came to you and said, we'd like you to shoot, we love the stuff that you've done, would you shoot our wedding? Would you, what do you think your answer would be?
Is their money green?
Yes.
There you go.
This is the answer that I thought that you would give, and I'm glad.
There was
your issue is, so you don't personally, while your answer is this, listen, I'm perceiving this as your answer, that's your decision to do with your life.
Right.
And I'm not going to treat you any way. If that's what you want to do, that's entirely up to you. It may not be for me, but if it's for you, go ahead.
Right.
And I'll be happy to shoot your wedding. Your issue is where people, what I'm hearing is your issue is when people feel obligated to do something that morally they may have an objection to.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. That's what it all boils down to. I mean, honestly, I'd love to shoot a gay wedding. I bet you it would be fun as hell. They know how to party.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I did this wedding, a couple weeks ago for my buddy's mom was getting married. And very low key. It was at a pavilion in a, Metro Park. She'd been with the guy for 20 some years. They just wanted to, it was very little ceremony, nothing fancy, nothing. And so I said, that's perfect for me, just to try out and everything. Went great, got great pics. They were very happy, the whole bit, everything came out great. Her one son is gay and he was there with his partner and their girl.
Okay.
And, see, this delves into a whole long thing, about how, like this guy, well, yeah, but nobody's listening here, or nobody, I didn't name any names here or anything. So the one, my buddy's brother is gay, and long story short is, he knew a girl who was going to have an abortion.
Okay.
Okay. God, this is really going to bring the house down here.
No,
but she was going to have an abortion, and he said, "What if we took the baby and you had it and we took the baby?" So that's what happened.
Wow.
And now, so those guys, this girl is the cutest girl you've ever seen. You know, she's, I don't know, probably 7, 6, maybe something like that. Right there, super nice. You know, the whole bit, super cute, everything. And I could just all I could do is sit there and look at her and go, if it wasn't for those two guys,
yeah,
she wouldn't have been born. You know, and then people want to restrict the rights of those guys and go, well, they shouldn't be allowed to get married. Well, why shouldn't they be allowed to get married? Like, why shouldn't they have the same rights as other married people? Whether you believe I can believe it's morally wrong from now until the cows come home. The fact is that they should still have the same rights as anybody else. And that girl should have the same rights of parental rights and all of that stuff as that. It should be treated the same. You know, so many people are on their high horses about this stuff, you know, and it drives me up a wall because I posted that on Facebook that, you know, that what had happened, you know, about this and everything. And somebody posted, well, you know, I just want to say I'm a heterosexual and I would have taken that kid in a heartbeat. And I'm sure that plenty of people would. Mm-hmm. But in that same respect, you know what? What I wanted to say was, well, go down to the orphanage. There's tons of kids down there right now, that would love to have a home. Why don't you take them? I understand it's different because you're saving a life versus, you know, versus growing up in an orphanage. But, you know, I know people who say that, oh, gays shouldn't be allowed to even adopt. They shouldn't, because that's just wrong. It's not. Well, is it the way nature intended? Whether you believe in God or not, it's just God or nature, whatever, either one. Is it the way that it was intended? No, because they can't procreate on their own. So your species would die off.
Yes.
Okay. But, they still should have that same, you know, they still, oh God, what am I looking for here? Totally lost my train of thought. You gotta edit this out.
Okay.
All right.
They deserve the right. They deserve the respect. I mean, they.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All these people, the heterosexuals, they say, you know, they would say, well, I'm heterosexual and I would, you know, I would have taken that kid in a heartbeat. Well, again, there's plenty that you can do, to help that and to help other kids and everything. And people like to say that they're going to do that stuff, but they really don't. And, you know, and there's plenty of people who could have adopted and they don't adopt or, you know, whatever the case would be, which is fine. I don't give a shit. I'm not judging anybody like, you know, saying that. I'm just saying don't get on your high horse and say, well, I would have done it too. Well, okay, maybe you would have, maybe you wouldn't, but you have the opportunity to do it right now in a different way by just adopting kids or being a foster parent or whatever, and you don't. So, you know, put your actions where your mouth is, you know? I don't know.
So, I'm presuming then you have no issue whatsoever with the Supreme Court's decision to legalize gay marriage.
I do, for the fact that it only for the can of worms that it opens.
You do have a problem with it for that reason.
Just for that reason. I think that anybody, whatever, but should be able to do whatever. But in that same respect, you know, it's funny, people say, oh, marriage equality. Finally, there's marriage equality. No, there's not. No, there's not. No, there's not. There is not marriage equality. Can I marry my daughter? Can I marry my father? Can I marry my sister, brother, and uncle? Can I marry 2 women? Can I marry 3, 4, 5, 10 men? Can I marry, you know, where does it end? And I know, you know, they're going to say, you know, the marriage, somebody's going to be married to a dog and all this stuff. Yeah, well, people have tried that already, you know. And yeah, that's crazy, obviously, when the person can't, you know, even leaving kids out of it and leaving animals out of it, there's still not marriage equality. So for people to just to say, you know, that the gay is the big word of the day, you know, and it's such a small part of the population. I'm not dismissing it by no means. I'm just saying, you know, gays are a very small part of the population. Well, so are polygamists. But are we going to stand up for their rights? And if not, why not? Why don't they have the right to marry more than one person? Why doesn't somebody have the right? If I wanted to marry my father, why couldn't I? Mm-hmm. And people say, well, like if I want to marry my sister, people say, well, that's, you'll have mutant kids and all this stuff, and, your kids will be fucked up. Well, what business is it of yours? What if I want to have that? Why are you going to deny my right to have any kid that I want with whomever I want? And it becomes a very vicious cycle, this is all far from over, and hopefully, there's a balance there between.
And you're not saying you want to marry your dad.
No, absolutely no.
You're simply stating that when we say this, when we basically jump away from a position of where we've, for all intents and purposes, defined marriage between one woman and one man, and when we open that up now to be two men or two women, that would you agree that what I had said, we're being a little naive to think this is the end?
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is just the beginning, because you're going to be, the other can of worms it opens is the religious aspect of, well, now a gay couple is going to go to a church and say, we want you to marry us, and they're going to say no, and then they're going to sue the church for millions of dollars because they won't marry them. And now you're butting heads with the law versus religion. And, people have a right to get married, and then they're going to have a right to preach the Bible, and that's going to clash and butt heads, and it's going to be very interesting to see where this all goes.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, the Confederate flag. Yeah. You felt like, or you feel like the flag could or should have stayed up?
It should have stayed up, absolutely.
Okay. So to those who, like to African Americans, that were victims of slavery, legitimately.
Okay. 300 years ago. Go ahead.
Yeah, but you have some of their ancestors that are still here, that are still being affected by that. Hold on. Let me carry this on.
Okay.
I mean, like I've heard that position before. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna argue this. I'm not saying this is or is not my personal opinion. I'm just trying to have a little dialogue here with Jeff. All right, that's all we're doing here. So don't start writing me letters or unliking me. All right. So I think an argument that could be made is that, granted, currently we don't have anyone who was actually a slave during that time. Those people have all died off. But I think an argument that could be made is there were these two slaves that were there, and they had children. And they grew up, and they had children. And when we finally have, I believe it's the Emancipation Proclamation, where everyone's free and everyone's supposedly given 40 acres and a mule, I think that the argument would be made is that for those people, when they're here in the United States, they're starting out on the lower rung. Whereas you have people, predominantly white people, who are, they're starting out far higher on the rung. And so I think what they're saying is, granted, while I personally wasn't a slave, while I didn't have chains on my ankles and hands, while I wasn't beaten, while I didn't have to do all that, there's no doubt that my life right now has been directly affected by slavery, even though it's generations before me. What's your answer to that?
Okay, my answer to that would be, that was all hypothetical, of course, by you, right? I mean, well, I'm not saying it's not necessarily your opinion. Could be, could not.
Right. Yes. I'm presenting. Yes.
All right. So I would say to that person, if they presented that to me, I would say, it's funny that one thing I've noticed. I'm very observational. I love seeing what people think and what they do, and then to all kinds of different situations. And it's funny to me that you got two separate things here. You've got the Confederate flag, and then you've got gay marriage. Okay, and typically people who are against either one don't have a lot of friends of that. And then the other one is when they're very pro that. I know a lot of pro gay people. They have a lot of gay friends, and people who are who think that blacks are disadvantaged a lot, and this and that. They have a lot of black friends if they're white. So, you need to step back.
Mm-hmm.
People need to step back and look at that and go, am I being objective, or am I being swayed because of I have my black friend, or I have my gay friend, or are people looking at this objectively? You know,
Mm-hmm.
You know, to say what people who say, you know, they're, you know, that, you know, blacks are disadvantaged, or they're on the lower rung and that type of thing. I to a degree, I can see what people would mean, but I have a very hard time with the word phrase white privilege.
Mm-hmm.
Because, what that does is say that everything I've done is just irrelevant. It's because I got that because I was white. It was like the old Eddie Murphy skit from Saturday Night Live, you know, where you get on the bus and, what are you doing? You don't have to pay, you know, and you're white and all that stuff. It negates all of my hard work. It negates my wife's hard work to think that we got where we are only because of the color of our skin. And the fact is that my wife works with a lot of black people. I work with a lot of black people. So we're all in the same thing there. I fail to see how the color of my skin got me a job at a restaurant making $3.50 an hour. Mm-hmm. I fail to see how, if I was black, how it would have been any different if I worked the same and worked as hard and worked up and almost doubled my pay by the time I left, you know, and same with getting all my other jobs and working my way up and being there every day and, you know, all that, you know, working hard and doing all that. I don't call that white privilege. I call that hard work. And I fail to see, I mean, I understand, you know, some people come from a lower class background, a lower money background, you know, and they don't have quite the opportunities, but to a degree, but my first job I walked to, mm-hmm. you know, it was a mile from my house. I took what I could get. I didn't have a car and I didn't want to depend on my mom to take me everywhere, or my dad or my brother. So a lot of times I walked. Sometimes they did, but a lot of times I walked, you know, and I did what I had to do. And, you know, to say that there's this, I find a lot of white people like, it becomes like it's become like the bandwagon thing to say that, you know, they're privileged and, you know, because you got to stand up for every single little minority that there is. So you got to say, oh yeah, white people suck, you know, and you can't be proud of being white. You know, if I went on Facebook and said, I am so proud of being white, I'm so proud of being straight, you'd get bashed. But as soon as you say, I'm proud to be gay, I'm proud to be black, I'm proud to be Mexican, whatever you want to be proud. Whatever you want to do, own it. You know, I shave my head. You know what? I can say, you know, you can sit there and, oh God, do I look like a fucking goof or what? Or you can own it and just say, yeah, that's who I am. You know? I mean, is there racism? Sure, absolutely. But in the same respect, you know, there's, I don't want to necessarily, let's just say I know some people very close who work at places where it would be very beneficial to be a minority. If you were black and a woman, oh my God, you would get hired in an instant. In an instant. Just because there's the
affirmative action.
A quote unquote quotas, affirmative action, whatever you want to call it. And that leads me back to the other thing before we had talked about like a while ago, you know, about everybody wants to be equal. Everybody always says, I just want to be equal. That's what we want. We want marriage equality. We want this equality. We want all this equality. But I want to have that handicap placard in my car so I can park in a different spots. But I want to have affirmative action so that I can be chosen over other people because my great-great-grandfather was a slave. That doesn't fly with me. My people were, you know, there was other people who were oppressed too. You know, my great-grandmother, I think, was a full-blooded Cherokee. There was a race on this earth that was more oppressed than Native Americans. And you know what? That's what kills me is that Not that I care, it doesn't, I'm part Native American, a little bit. I'm not saying I'm like full blooded like Elizabeth Warren claims or whatever. But, and that's the other thing, back to that whole thing of it's all in the people that you know. Very few people think that we should change Chief Wahoo or the name the Redskins. Why? Because they don't know any Native Americans. That's why. Because if you knew Native Americans.
Hold on, very few people think
that we should change the name of the Redskins or Chief Wahoo. They don't find it offensive at all. Because they don't know any of those people, any Native Americans. If they had a buddy, Chief Longhorn, who was, a good friend of theirs, they would be like, damn, we really need to change this caricature of an Indian with a huge nose, big teeth, and a big feather in his head for a sports team, or a detrimental name to somebody that they were called, that people were called when the white man came and took their land. Hey, those Redskins over there.
So you're saying that what's your take? It should or should not be taken down? Redskins or Indians?
That's a great question.
And you brought this up.
Yeah. No, I know. I think that.
Let me ask you this question. Can you see someone's perspective of why that would be offensive?
Absolutely. 100%. 100%.
Okay.
I can see how those two things can be way more offensive, I think, than the Confederate flag.
Okay. So are you saying you cannot see in any way why someone would be offended by the flag? The Confederate flag?
I can see why. I could see why.
Why
sure.
do you think they would?
Because it was a flag for in the Civil War, is for the South, and it was the Civil War was, for all intents and purposes, about slavery. It was about many other things, but it was also about slavery. So people could take that to mean that. People could take, this is the thing, as soon as you start banning things that make people feel uncomfortable, we're fucked. Because then what? A lot of things make people feel, if my brother got killed by a Cadillac, would I want to ban all the Cadillacs because I just I feel uncomfortable around Cadillacs?
Right, but this is a little more than just making people uncomfortable. I guess is what I'm saying. If this represents something that,
but things represent different things to different people.
That's true. But I kind of see, like, with this flag, I see this like. You have people who are saying it needs to stay up, it's part of our heritage. And there's this other part that's saying, yeah, but that heritage kind of sucked for half of us, or whatever the percent of the minorities, the African Americans are. It sucked for us.
Did you know that there were black people who fought in the Civil War for the South?
Oh, sure. I don't know. I don't know their story, and I'm not going to jump and presume like, let's keep slavery. Right. Come on, boys. Take those chains off. Let's go. I don't think that was their.
Is that your black voice?
It really wasn't. It was just a voice. But like, I don't think that was their perspective. Like, they were fighting because they really wanted slavery to continue.
Sure.
Surely they weren't thinking that.
Okay.
So, but my point is that, I consider myself a religious guy, and I'm not trying to get this. I'm not trying to move this into religion now, but some of the writings in there are about, if you know something offends your brother, don't do that. And so, like, my perspective then would be to South Carolina. Listen, okay, show me why it has to stay up. What's your motive that is so strong that it's stronger than this obvious? It bothers people. It clearly bothers them. So, what motive do you have? What's your purpose that's so strong that it overrides the hurt that it may or may not cause them? But they're saying it hurts them. They're saying it brings pain. So what purpose is it? And right now, I cannot tell you what the answer to that question is.
Do they need an answer? Or do they just need freedom to do whatever they want?
I think an answer should be given.
Okay.
What's the reason why? And I think the only answer I've heard was heritage, not hate.
Well,
all I'm saying to you is there are people who genuinely, when they see that, it does bother them. It does rub them the wrong way.
Okay, what about the people that it makes people feel good?
Okay, so my question to them was, okay, so why? Why does it make you feel
Because
good? And is your good feeling more important? Like, is it going to hurt you?
All feelings are important. So that's all negated. But if I have an answer, it would be, hey, my relatives, my great-grandfather fought in the Civil War. And that's how I like to remember him. And he stood up for what he believes in.
Okay, so, but could I, all right then.
So to them, that flag could represent standing up for what you believe in.
Okay, so I think finally then we as a society, I don't think we like to do this, but we kind of have to get to a point where we can say, okay, this is just and this is unjust. Because the same argument you just made can then be taken over to the Nazis and saying, my grandfather,
sure,
he believed in this, and so I'm going to fly that.
And do you see any Jews complaining about the Nazi flag?
I see everyone
No.
complain about the Nazi flag.
There is now one. You have not do a search on CNN. See if you can find anything about any Jews.
That's because there's not a. That's because there's not a Nazi flag out there.
They don't give a shit. The Jews, they don't care. It's these the people who care. This is what drives me crazy. People we're sitting here talking about the flag for one reason. This guy took a picture with the Confederate flag, and then he killed 9 black people. That's why we're talking about it. If it wasn't because of that, we would not be having this conversation. It would not even be in the news at all. 100% guaranteed. He also took pictures with the American flag. The American flag can represent hate to a lot of people. It can. Yes. It was the American flag was flown more on slave ships than the Confederate flag. So, are we going to ban the American flag now? And why not? Because it can really make people feel uncomfortable.
Yes, I want to take you somewhere though, because how this topic came up to me is incidental. Let's pretend you and I are driving down to South Carolina, Charleston.
Okay.
And I look up and there is the Confederate flag.
All right.
You and I would be having this same conversation right now, Jeff.
Okay.
Okay, so regardless of if the media is... listen, do I think that the media and do I think certain groups are opportunists? Absolutely.
Okay. Sure.
It doesn't negate the fact that this is a conversation that I think should be had. I think most certainly there are people who look at that flag, what it represents to them, and think this should be coming down. The same way, like you're bringing up the Nazi flag. Mm-hmm. For some reason, there's no place that is actually putting the flag up. And the moment they do, the media, you're right, the media would jump all over it, and there would be certain groups who are calling for a protest. But putting all that aside, does that action deserve a conversation? And I think that it does.
Okay.
Okay.
In that same respect, we're talking about, to a degree, I don't really care. It becomes a different thing talking about this because that's the government too. That's the big difference there.
Yes, I'm not talking about a person's
right.
own
liberty. But in that same respect, though, you have Amazon who banned all the Confederate flag sales. You got TV Land who took off the reruns of Dukes of Hazzard because of the Confederate flag, but yet they still have George Jefferson calling people honkies and making fun of mixed couples on there, mm-hmm. on the Jeffersons. Mm-hmm. So that's really fucked up, don't you think?
I see what I'm seeing when I look at that.
Yeah.
I look at that, to me, is all reactionary. The first thing of whether the flag should be up or down is the core. That's the principle that has to be discussed. And these other things are all reactionary. And sometimes, especially in business, they do the wrong thing. Like the thing that comes to my mind right now, and as of this recording, this is what I believe is truth. Subway has dropped Jared.
Yeah.
Why? If my information is correct, is because the FBI raided his house. Why? Because he had hired someone, an employee of his, unbeknownst to Jared, had been involved somehow in child pornography.
Okay.
Subway sees FBI child pornography at Jared's house. We're cutting it off. It's reactionary. Right. It's not taking time. It's them thinking about their bottom line. It's them thinking about their brand. So Amazon, TV Land, yeah, they're all doing that same type of a thing. Whether it's right or wrong, that's how I perceive what they're doing.
Right. But the thing is that this is how the media controls us with we're worried about the Confederate flag and TV Land pulls a TV show that has nothing to do whatsoever with race, nothing, anything, but yet nobody gives a shit about George Jefferson saying honky and calling people racial slurs and all of this stuff. Because that's okay, and then it all goes back to, it's okay if black people do it.
Well,
because they've been oppressed. But when Whitey does it, oh, watch out, it's bad.
I'm going to disagree with you there, because I'll say to you, if I'm not mistaken, the producer or writer of the Jeffersons is Norman Lear,
right,
who also wrote All in the Family.
Sure, and Three's Company.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a sad thing then, because you have two iconic shows, and then you have Three's Company.
What's wrong with Three's Company?
Nothing. But like these other two shows, All in the Family and Jeffersons, if I understand the term, were satire. Meaning we're taking these examples. We're not saying this is the way that it is. We're saying there are people who view it this way. So, and I think almost in a way of what we're doing is we're taking these horrible examples. We're not saying that everybody should act like Archie Bunker. We're not saying everyone should act like George Jefferson. We're taking these perspectives, so we're not glorifying it. I do not believe in any way, shape, or form that they're glorifying it.
Okay.
Am I therefore saying that the Dukes of Hazzard is glorifying Bo and Luke Duke? If I'm being very, very honest with you, if I'm trying to be objective, there's probably less satire in the Dukes of Hazzard than there was in All in the Family or Jeffersons. Okay? Sure. Therefore, Jefferson's and All in the Family, you're clearly not glorifying this position. You're mocking. You're laughing at some of it, but you don't want to be like that.
Okay.
But at the same time, there's something endearing about running from the cops and giving in your car and jumping things. And
sure.
Now, granted, Uncle Jesse comes in and shares some really great perspective about life, and then you got Daisy Duke.
Sure, no more to be said there. Sure,
all right?
Absolutely, yeah. Right.
But in my mind, there is a difference there between.
Okay, let me ask you this. Let me say that there's a new sitcom on TV.
Okay. Blackish.
No.
Okay. Because I love that show.
Oh, okay. Okay, great.
So go ahead and ask me.
Okay, good. There's a TV show, and it has a character on there that really hates gays. Okay. And constantly, and then there's another character on there that really hates blacks, but it's all satire, it's all sitcom, but the one guy constantly calls them fags, and the other guy constantly calls blacks niggers. Is that okay? It's satire. Well, they're making them out, and they don't want to be like them. You don't want to be like them.
Right.
And then the people who are on there then sit there and bash them for doing that. Do you think that that's okay?
No, this is going to be going. There is a limit. There is a limit.
What's the limit?
Well, I think society ultimately determines what that limit is.
Exactly. Society says it's okay to say honky, but it's not okay to say nigger. And society says it's okay to bash straight people, but it's not okay to bash gay people.
That's true. That whether it be right or wrong.
Whether it's right or wrong.
That is where we sit.
Yep.
I remember, I believe All in the Family, I believe that Archie Bunker did use the N-word.
I think so, like in one episode. I want to say that, yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
and it was and even then, it was a big deal.
Sure.
And I guess, Jeff, what I'd say to you, I don't. Okay, so if during during Archie Bunker's time, if to use the N-word was a big deal, we've only seemingly gotten more sensitive to things like this as time has gone on. So if it was sensitive then, it's going to be more sensitive now.
I'd agree with that.
Okay. So that's one reason I think we're not going to say the N-word on there. Okay.
Again, I want to point out that it's one of those things that is funny to me. It's just, I understand everybody's different and everything. I'm not saying it's right or wrong or nothing, but like I can say the word nigger and you have to say the N-word because I'm not calling anybody that.
Yeah.
It's a word and it exists and to say the N-word is playing the game. You know, to say, the N-word, is playing the game of everybody. If I'm going to sit there and walk down the street and call a black guy that's obviously wrong. But to say that the word is just that word and that it exists, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand it. Let me ask you a question. Okay. 5 minutes ago when I said it, did it get to you?
No,
were
but
you like, whoa.
No, but I thought there are probably listeners, it bothers them.
Okay.
So,
I don't mean to bother anybody.
I know you don't.
And it's just, it's a word.
I know Louis C.K., I like Louis a lot.
Okay.
And he basically gets angry at people when they reference, quote, the N-word. He says, because then I know what the N-word is and now it's in my head and you put it in my head and how dare you?
Right.
And now I'm the racist because it's in my head.
Exactly.
Anyway, that's a side note. But, okay, let me come back then to thinking this through.
Okay.
About the N-word and I guess now we have to call it the F word or fag.
Now, see, it's funny to me. Now, right there, I'm going to make it. I don't mean to put you on the spot or anything. Okay, but I'm going to ask you a question. Do you know more blacks or do you know more gays?
I don't know. I've never done.
Come on.
I'm honestly not going through and adding it up and going and keeping
No.
a tally.
I know, but okay. How many gay people do you know?
Quite a few.
Quite a few?
Yeah. I honestly know quite a few.
Okay.
My best friend growing up is gay.
Okay.
I work. There's a gay guy I work with. There's quite a few.
How many black people do you know?
Well, my first friend was black. He's
gay.
And gay.
Oh my God! You got a double whammy.
I told him. I said the only thing worse for you is if you were Jewish, because then the whole world would hate you. You poor gay black.
Right.
But no. So he's black. I have a number of black friends. I remember as a kid. I
can tell that you have a lot of black friends. You're very standoffish when it comes to some of that stuff like that. Like you just said, well, we could say the N-word, or then we could say fag. And you feel fag is okay.
No. You could see how. I hope that you could see
it.
I did finally say it.
Absolutely. I saw that you weren't. It wasn't easy for you. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But you still said it. But you won't say the N-word.
Dude, you're absolutely right. I don't want to say that because my
entire life.
That could be offensive
to both, just as bad to both people.
True, but I think even a gay person would acknowledge that the N-word has been offensive longer.
Sure, okay? I'll give you that.
All right.
Oh, God, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
This other word has only become negative recently. For instance, comedian Jim Brewer has a whole bit about the F word and talking about his daughter actually saying it because he says it all the time. But he's like, I'm not saying it in reference to a gay person. I'm saying it about like some idiot.
Okay.
Okay, and I think he actually says the word faggot.
Okay.
And then his daughter actually started calling him a ferret.
But obviously that isn't the thing because then if I were just to start calling idiots nigger.
Yes, he's taking an angle where he's like, I'm going to personally redefine it. Right. And that's like me saying, well, when I say the N-word, it actually means this certain type of fruit. So don't be offended by that. No. Words, the definitions matter because it's how we communicate with other people. And so we have to come to an agreement on what a word means.
Did you ever see Clerks 2?
No.
No. Well, they started talking about porch monkey. And he said, you can't say, they're working at the fast food place. He's like, you can't say that to black people. He's like, why? He was a white guy. He's like, I was called porch monkey my whole life. What? Hey, you little monkey. And he said that to some little black kid. He's like, hey, you little monkey, what can I get you? And then like the lady like freaks out at him and everything. Really funny movie. And it's funny how it all plays out. But he's like, I'm taking it back. It's my word, that porch monkey. And he puts it on the back of his shirt, says porch monkey for life and all this stuff. And he's like, I'm taking the word back. He's like, nobody's going to use it for that and everything. So
did he get beat up?
It was part of that. No, I didn't get beat up. But Wanda Sykes was in it. And he was saying it to her. And he's getting it for his the fast food order for her and her husband, and ironically, and then you know, he says that, and she's like, we're leaving, blah, blah, blah. And the guy wants his food. He's like, oh, yeah, but I just want to get the food. And it's funny. You just have to see it. But anyway, so it was just play on words, that type of thing. But my point being is that different words mean different things to different people. And obviously, nigger isn't a good word, you know, right. I mean, to use. And, you know, it's not like I use it, but to call someone that, but you still have to acknowledge that it's a word and it's there. We sound so friggin' ridiculous saying that now it's the R word. You can't say retard.
Yeah.
You know, and to me personally, there's a difference between I'm saying, Scott, you're a retard. That's not cool. But when you say, and I'll be honest with you, I say it, you know, mm-hmm. But if I say you're retarded, that to me that's a difference. Retarded means slow. And if you're dumb about something and you don't get it, man, you're retarded, you know. So every day that there's a new thing, you know, like you can't say retardation, you can't say this and you can't say that, and it gets exhausting from the liberals hearing what you can say and what you can't. Holy crap! You can't say fag, you can't say retard, you can't say nigger, you can't say this or that. Not that I you know, go out of my way to say anything. It's like, I understand things are offensive, but God, you got me on a roll, man. I can't stop talking.
Yeah. I remember, I never knew this, but like when you would say, what a gyp.
Yeah, gypsy.
I did not know that.
Yep.
I did not know that.
Or don't Jew me.
No, I don't ever say that.
Are you Jew? That's why.
I've been informed.
You've been informed? I've been informed by Hitler?
By my mother.
Yeah.
That there is Jewish ancestry.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Apparently there is a disease called
Judaism?
No, Tay-Sachs disease that predominantly affects this certain bloodline of Jews.
Okay.
And I had an aunt who her son had that. So the thought is that the only way she had that to give that to her son was that she and her there was Jewish blood in my aunt and her uncle, and so my mother believes that bloodline came from like my grandfather side. So I guess so. Yeah, I am Jew. Anyway, I never would say that to somebody. But when I did find out, when somebody said that gyp is derogatory towards gypsies, I'm like, it was fun to say when I didn't know.
But our gypsies are just like hippies.
I don't know.
I mean, they're not people. It's not like there's a line of gypsies. It's not like there's a bloodline.
I don't know enough.
Gypsy and part
I don't
French.
know enough about them. I don't know that is true.
There were nomadic people that wandered around.
But they're still on. I see they have TV shows. Like,
oh my God.
They do.
You are so
have you seen my Gypsy Wedding?
God.
Have you seen that show?
No.
Go.
I don't watch TV.
Well,
I rarely watch TV.
Okay. Since they took the Dukes of Hazzard off.
Yeah, exactly. I'm definitely not watching TV lately.
Well, no, I think that I don't know enough to say categorically gypsies aren't in fact a race. I don't know.
So you don't even know one, and you're afraid to say the word.
Well, why would I intentionally want to just offend people?
Because it's fun.
I want to keep having Facebook friends.
The good ones stay. Don't worry.
That's true. I've stayed. You've not really said anything that offended me.
No. I've been quiet for a little while, but I don't know. Yeah, whatever. I try not to. I've made a new pact where I don't, to myself, where I don't. I'm trying not to comment on other people's stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so because that's where I used to get really wound up. So I figured, if anyone wants to argue with me on my stuff, well, you're coming to me.
Sure.
I'm not going to you. So fuck that. I'm not, I'm trying not to say anything unless it's just like, cool.
All right.
Good.
So let me ask you this, and then we'll kind of wrap it up.
Oh, dude, I got time, man.
Okay.
It's only 10:40.
I still got to go to church and ask for forgiveness for saying the F word. So now we have the F word, and then there's the F.2, 2.0.
Yeah, exactly. There's a whole thing. There's the B word. She's a B and bitch. There's a C word.
Oh, come on.
Cunt. There's she needs the D.
Okay.
Dick.
Yeah.
Okay. So the F word. There's two F words.
There's no E.
Yeah, I don't think so. Eucalyptus, maybe.
Eunuchs.
Oh God, don't make fun of them. And then there's the R word. The S word is shit. And
this is like George Carlin's 7.
Yeah, exactly. 7 dirty words. Yeah, except where you can say anything you want on a podcast.
Yeah.
Fuck. See? You can edit that out. It's okay. I want to make up a new, really offensive swear word that's like Z or something. Like, or the X word. Yeah. Like, it's so bad, there's an X on it, you know? Yeah. It's like, you know, I don't know. I gotta think of something.
I've thought a great deal, actually, about words. And, for instance, many think as a Christian, you should watch your language. And like there are Christians who, when they're angry, they're legitimately angry at someone, and they would curse at them. Their thought is they'll ask forgiveness for saying that word. But they forget to ask forgiveness for the fact that they were angry. Okay? And there's this part of me, and then there's this other group of people that like, well, I'm angry with this person. So as to avoid doing the bad thing and saying a bad word, I will use this other thing. Like, instead of taking the Lord's name in vain, they'll say, gosh darn it.
Sure.
As if God's in heaven going, what is it? Oh, you almost,
man.
Yeah.
You got a check mark.
Or because you won't say that you hit your finger with the hammer, and so instead of saying the S word, you say shoot, or these other things. And there's this part of me that thinks, you know, the F word in the United States, if I go into the middle of Africa and say that, where they don't speak any English, what are they going to know? Nothing. Because language is very much geographic.
Sure.
Okay? And God, in my mind, God is...
You can speak all the languages.
Yes.
It's crazy.
But my perspective is that God is He is not so concerned with what words come out of my heart or out of my mouth. He's more concerned with my being, my soul, my motive.
True.
And so that's why, if any of you are friends with me and you know that I'm a Christian, sometimes you hear me use language that I probably shouldn't. And I think for me, the way I've come to it at this point in time is like, my heart is in my mind where it needs to be. And so these words that I'm using, it's just words. Now I could be wrong.
So then you could say fuck. Or
and
whatever.
maybe in time, hold on. Yeah. And maybe in time I will mature or my perspective will change and I won't use those words because of Christianity. I can't tell you, but as where I am today, this is where I come in on it. That being said, when I know that there are words that could offend, or hurt someone, even then, I'm still going to avoid that. I don't want to be a person who is just intentionally trying to hurt someone or to be offensive just for being offensive's sake.
But no, you should still be you. And if somebody,
but that is, I am being me. I am being me. Yes. Now, if the fact that I say I love the Cleveland Cavaliers, if that offends you, I'm sorry. I'm not going to change that because there is nothing innately offensive about the Cleveland Cavaliers.
What if people say, "Oh, I love the Cleveland Indians," and that person's Native American, and they say, "Oh, that really offends me"?
Then I'm going to tell you right now, I am one of the people that agree that I'm glad that the Cleveland Indians have removed Chief Wahoo. I'm glad they have removed the picture of him, and now it's just like a bold C or the word Indians. I would hope that in time we probably would get away from that. Why? Because there's this minority group that are offended by it? The answer is yes.
The word Indian is offensive.
Well,
could be.
It could be, yes.
Because but they were looking, when Columbus came here, they called them Indians because they thought that they were in India. They weren't in India. They were in America.
Oh,
and the Native American people didn't have a name for themselves. They thought they were the only ones in existence. They called themselves them. Okay. And technically, they're Native Americans. They were here first.
Yeah. So for me, I do think that needs to go. The Redskins, my gosh, I don't know why, and now I just did the whole gosh thing instead of taking Lord's name.
You did.
My buddy from high school, elementary school, he would always, instead of cursing, all he ever said was, "Oh wow." Oh wow. And it's like, I try to teach my kids that, but it just sometimes it doesn't grasp it. Like when you hit your finger with it, like, oh wow, it does not.
No. For a while there, I tried to incorporate, I don't know if you watch Battlestar Galactica?
No.
Their whole thing, instead of saying fuck, they'd say frack. to be frack me, frack you.
Yeah.
So I incorporated that. That was kind of cool.
That worked?
Yeah, kind of. My favorite, real quick though, my favorite is one of my absolute favorite things. I laugh every time I see it, is when people will write LMBO. They can't even write LMAO because it stands for laugh my ass off. They have to write laugh my butt off. And they're so politically correct. They can't even put the first letter of a word on there.
Well, because we all know what that letter stands for, and that may not be a word that
I know
they
what
use.
The N words. I know what that N stands for.
Yeah.
So is that just as offensive as writing the word?
Yeah. If you write a letter and say, "Hey, N word," I hope.
Well, okay, yeah.
Then you're going to get in trouble just because you didn't say the word.
You're right. Okay, yeah, I'll give you that. Okay, that's why we talk this stuff out. Yeah. Okay, I got you.
So I was talking. I can't remember where I was, and I can't rewind this, but I was talking about words and trying not to offend people.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
The Cavaliers, the Indians.
The Redskins.
Okay, the Redskins, and I said, why that guy, Daniel Snyder's the owner of the Washington Redskins, and why he will not do it is beyond me. It goes now back to this thing of the flag. Okay, if you won't succumb to them, why won't you succumb? When there is pretty much society is saying this needs to come down, why? To a person who says, I am pro marriage between a man and a woman, at least, whether you agree or not, their answer to you and why they believe it is to say, because biblically, because the Bible presents marriage between one man and one woman. That's at least what a person who's pro-straight marriage would say.
They have some sort of...
They have something, okay?
Okay.
But for you, Daniel Snyder, why? And please tell me it's not just because, well, I've already spent so much money in branding. Please tell me it's not that. Please tell me that there's something higher that tells you that I'm going to resist society's desire for me to change. Please tell me that. And the same thing, I'm sorry,
Sure.
The same thing goes to the Confederate flag. Please tell me what the positive is that says to you, screw them that are offended by it. That's what I really do want to know.
People seem to have a problem with tradition anymore. They go, well, no, well, why should we keep something around? Well, there is a certain traditionalist view to a name or a flag or anything that's representative. I mean,
Fine.
To me, with the Redskins, I think they should, they could do that and actually have it help them, where it would make money for them, because people would, you know, when you got something different, people like to, have both the same thing.
Hopefully,
all
though,
that stuff and everything.
Let me know if I'm missing something here.
Yeah.
Hopefully, though, we're keeping the good traditions and doing away with the bad. I don't think that we need to have a portion of the South like, come on down here. This is our colored section. Here's the whites, just for tradition.
That's not tradition. There's laws for that.
But it ultimately was a tradition.
No, it was a law.
Understand that. But even if you'd remove the law, it was still part of a tradition.
Sure. Okay. I'll give you that. Yeah.
So we have to get to a point where we're saying some of these traditions we were just wrong on.
Why is everything culminating now? Why does everybody have a problem with the flag and this and the marriage and this and that? Why now? Why not? Why was it okay 10 years ago? Why was it okay 20 years ago? Why was it okay 5 years ago?
But
some of this stuff.
My suspicion, Jeff, is that there were guys 50 years ago doing a podcast, much like you and I are doing right now.
Okay.
And they were having a very similar conversation. There were things coming down the pike for them 50 years ago that they didn't see. They saw only the issues that they were dealing with, whether it be kids wearing the long hair or the hippies. And they were having the same kind of thing. I don't think that this conversation is new. And I think that they were thinking at the time, why is everything happening right now? And just as we're having it, and in a few years, those things that you and I can't even, I can almost guarantee you, if we could go back in time and we walk out to John Q. Guy walking the street and go, what would you do if I told you at some point in time 2 men could get married? In that society, at that time, I think they would either laugh hysterically because it was so preposterous.
Sure.
Or they would get angry because because the culture was so anti-gay. But they couldn't even see that was ever possible. I believe that.
Right. Okay.
So what is the thing that right now, because are we so full of ourselves that we think we've actually thought of every possibility? We know. No. There's something coming that 50 years from now, if we're still here, 50 years from now, that if they told us today it would happen, like, you get out, there's no way. I remember I used to work at this, Children's Services would take children out of their homes because it was unfit, whatever.
Okay.
So they'd come and live at this, what wasn't an orphanage, but Children's Services had a place where they would live. And I remember thinking to myself, like, they were talking about peer pressure and all the things that kids are doing. And I said to them, at the time, thinking it would never happen, I go, so if somebody walks around with that lampshade on their head, and everybody says that's cool, are you going to do that? Thinking that would never happen. Not seeing Lady Gaga at some point in time coming along, dressing in meat or putting chandeliers on her head.
Sure.
So we can't even see. But so you're asking the question, why now? And the answer is, why not now? I don't know that there's anything that's happened that has triggered it all. It's just that.
But I'm telling you what right now, if you remember nothing about this, remember this one thing, okay? In 20 years from now or so, I'd say, the thing that what we're talking about right now, it's going to be polygamy, and it's going to be you'll be on marriage. Well, people will go, you should be able to marry your fucking, He-Man figure. Who cares?
Yes.
And people are going to be going, oh, that's true. Why, in 2015, why did they think that was so fucked up?
Yes. Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt.
And don't you think that this is getting?
And do you have an issue with that? Are you
marrying a He-Man figure?
No, not a He-Man figure. Although I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Okay.
If that's what you want to say. Do I really think that you're married? No. I really don't. But,
no,
okay.
I don't think the problem.
But polygamy. Are you going to have any? Because in my heart right now, in my heart of hearts right now, I'm like, my answer is, okay. Because honestly, how can I say that we're going to? Okay, if marriage can now be between a man and a woman, or two men or two women, where do I morally stand up and say, but this guy cannot marry these three women who are willing to do it? They desire to do it. They're doing it of their own volition. How can I? If I'm,
my answer to that is simply, I don't know how anybody could handle more than one wife.
You're right. Yeah, the answer.
If you can do it, God bless you. Go for it, dude.
The best one I heard was like, how can you handle? It's not the wives that's a problem. It's the mother-in-laws that you have to have. That's what. That was
right. That's yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Good.
So I do think about what is the next thing, and that is a clear one that I think is going to be coming very, very shortly. And I can't wait to hear how are you going to argue against that?
How can you possibly argue against that? Mm-hmm. Now, after they've turned all that, how can you? It's
Correct.
It's like people who try to argue against. They say a woman should have a right to choose.
Right.
Okay, and then they argue against prostitution. And they say, well, a woman should have a right to choose. She should be able to do whatever she wants with her own body. Well, why shouldn't she be able to be a prostitute?
Yeah.
Personally, whatever. I mean, it's, it's your own thing,
Right.
So that's a thing. Every time that there's something like this, there's another issue. And I guess that's where it comes from, while now, because it's all been snowballing so much and it just everything hits, Yeah. I guess that's what it is.
And I think that the media, that we have more TV channels now than we ever have. We have social media. We really are today bombarded with it. We absolutely are bombarded with it.
That's definitely a big part of it. I mean, it's easier to get people motivated and all that stuff. I mean, with gay marriage, before that, you would have to depend on the media. That's about it. And like mail order stuff or whatever, going through the mail or putting up signs on telephone poles and stuff. Whereas now, I can express my opinion in 2 seconds to hundreds of people.
Yeah.
And it's different. It makes a huge difference.
It's hard for me sometimes to think about so I graduated in '88. There was really no internet then. computers were out, but
right.
not big.
No.
I remember in the 90s, well,
Al Gore didn't create it yet. So
I remember in the 90s when internet was so slow that like somebody was going to try to download this John Mellencamp song for me off the internet. All right.
Yeah.
And they were going to do it, and it was going to take like 6 hours to download this one song. Mm-hmm. And like my kids, all they've ever known, my kids have all, when we're at a movie theater, they're like, "Can rewind it, pause it. I'm gonna go to the bathroom." My kids have always known DVR. My kids have always known internet. They've always known Wi-Fi. My kids have always known.
They've never walked into a record store to buy a CD.
Yeah, they've seen my records, they've seen my CDs, but they don't understand it. We as a culture, I think we are really progressing so very, very fast, and I think that there are positives to that. But you know, my fear is that sometimes I think as a society, and I'm not trying to get in a high horse or anything, or even get political. All I'm going to say is I think sometimes as a society, we sometimes think, oh, this is the right thing to do. We've got to do it right now.
Sure.
And sometimes you have to think things through. Yeah. Yes, because there could be ramifications for this down the line that you're not even considering right now. There are some things that we need to probably act.
This guy killed these people, a month ago, and the flag is already down. They've already went through all this and everything. Yeah. Usually, most government stuff takes years to, go through all the proper channels. And he's already done that. So.
I do think it was the right thing, though. At the end of the day, I do think it was the right thing, because I think that for people that it hurt them. I genuinely mean that. I think that to see that flag on the State House hurt them.
I think that the gay flag could hurt people seeing it on the White House.
I agree with that. I know, in fact, that there are people who reached out to me that were bothered by that, because the perspective is, when we come to these certain institutions, there needs to be a certain point of neutrality.
Sure, I agree.
And honestly, what would people do? What would people do if next Sunday there was a cross in front of the White House? People would go crazy.
Right.
People go crazy if there was the Islamic symbol, if that was put out there, mm-hmm. or anything. In my opinion, and many people I think, is that these places need to be neutral as possible. Granted, some of the laws they make are clearly biased to the left or to the mm-hmm. right, or for this group or for that group. I understand, but as a group, it needs to be. But at the same time, I understand that gay people were ecstatic because this is their guy. Obama is their guy. He did something that nobody else could ever do. Okay. While I'm going to have
That wasn't Obama, though. That was the Supreme Court.
Understand. But I think that Obama...
I understand he's very friendly.
Yeah, some of his earlier decisions...
And I get that and everything. I'm just saying, people like to attribute anything that happens to the president. No matter who the president is. Bush, Clinton, whoever, and again, everybody looks back, oh, those are really good times. Remember, that was, when Bush was president, I bought my house, and, I got married and everything was all hunky-dory and all that stuff. And so then they attribute it to that time. It's like Reagan. Everybody thinks, oh my God, Reagan was so fucking awesome. Well, yeah, I think he was a good president, but it's also the fact of everybody looks back at the 80s and goes, weren't those great times? Oh my God, the 80s were so awesome. And I remember being, I don't know if I said this before on here, but I'll say it again. I remember being a kid in the 80s and they would always say, this is such a terrible time. It's terrible time to grow up. You've got drugs are so rampant, say no to drugs, Nancy Reagan, all that stuff. This is so bad. The drugs are rampant. The crime is rampant. Terrible music. All this electronic stuff. Madonna and all this stuff is coming up. Terrible time. Oh my God. And I remember this is one of those things I distinctly remember going, when we grow up. I was like 9 I'm not kidding. I was like 9 or 10. So I'd have been like, 83, 84. I remember saying, when we grow up, this is, we're going to look back on this as the good times. And sure enough, we do. And like, just like people today, everybody looks back at their childhood fondly. You know, you always see those memes on Facebook. You know, the kids of the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and mid-90s, it'll say, they were the last ones to come home you had to be home when the street lights were on. And, you know, I went and caught lightning bugs, and I went and did this, and I did all this stuff and everything. And everything's all hunky-dory, and now those kids today, they just don't know. And it's like, well, okay, do you think the mid-90s were really that big of a difference?
Right.
It's like, and the kids today, you know, like my daughter plays across the street, and we call her over and everything, and she's going to look back at that fondly and go, when I was a kid, I used to play across the street. My parents would just call me home, and we never had all this stuff, and blah, blah, blah. And, you know.
It's funny, because, like, and I love that. And I think it's in our nature, we look back, for the most part, we look back fondly.
Sure, absolutely. You forget all the shit and you remember the good stuff. Yeah, you remember
the good stuff. But I remember this one post I saw on Facebook where somebody clearly has a hatred for smartphones. Because on a subway, everybody's kind of staring at their smartphone.
Sure.
And so the way they did that was they go, look back in the 50s, and it showed a bunch of people reading their newspaper.
Reading the paper. Right. Everybody had the paper up.
Right. Yes, and all I'm thinking is, there was this old codger sitting there going, at the time, all they do is read the newspaper.
No, I'm going to take a picture of this.
Right. Yeah, it's so offensive that they just keep looking. Why can't they do what I did when I was a kid?
Damn newspaper's taking over.
Right. Yeah. So we're always complaining about something now and wishing it was like that. So
everybody I mean, obviously everybody, unless you had a really fucked up childhood, you want to relive your childhood, you know? And, you know, I mean, that's just human nature, I guess, you know? You just want to be a kid again. Everybody wants to be a kid again, you know, what you wouldn't give.
All right, so Jeff, thank you. This was really, really good.
Awesome.
Appreciate all your candor and your you open up. That's what I know about you, is when I sit down with you, I get you, and I appreciate that.
No problem.
All right.
Happy to help. If I offended anybody, I'm not sorry.
I'm going to edit that right now.
Okay.
And so there you have it, the opinionated, the incomparable, the always offending Mr. Jeff Henson. So again, I hope that you actually found this interesting. I hope you found this worthwhile. You know, Jeff and I differ on some things, but we're still able to talk and converse and share our opinions and walk away from this still thinking highly of each other. At least I do. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that maybe it inspired you to have this conversation with other people as well, especially those who differ from you in your perspectives. Anyway, thank you guys so much for downloading another episode of Considering the Source. I encourage you to go to our Facebook page and like us. I encourage you to tell your friends and family about it. And I really do hope that more and more of these episodes can be downloaded and shared with other people, and so that in turn, finally, we can maybe start treating each other with a little more respect and love and all that good stuff. So, until next time, everyone has a story.